Hello. Um, Hopefully y'all can hear me. I have this new mic set up. Really excited. Finally got it set up. It is a Logitech G Blue Sona. Honestly, I've kept it kind of stowed away for quite some time, so hopefully now you guys can actually hear tuning forks or any type of instruments that we might do in this session. So really excited that we have this today. I'm also hopefully getting a new pair of headphones to pair with a mic, but in time. Wow. So last week we had our October poll. I hope you guys had enjoyed it. I started this live stream primarily to learn along the way and also share some learnings. And so today I wanted to do something around the Celtic Cross Tarot spread. And for the Celtic Cross Tarot spread, it's very insightful. It's about 10 cards, and it's kind of, people would say, a beginner maybe spread, but also it is one that's really helpful, especially if somebody doesn't have like an immediate question and you can just help them analyze something that's currently going on in their life, how to move past it, because it gets into also the your current goals, the subconscious, things you may not be aware of, some advice. So I thought this would be a really cool one to kind of talk through and share with you guys today. So before we get started, I am going to test out this new mic, woohoo, and the tuning forks. So again, I started last week with this, and sometimes I do start some weeks with this, but these are tuned to C and G. And if you're familiar with tuning forks, they typically have a specific purpose when used together. This one particularly is around calming and just de-stressing. So it's been kind of a busy day. We're already at about 3:30 Eastern time here, and this is a really nice way to kind of ground a little bit before moving forward. So here we go. Cool. All right, so I will get started in just a second. Going to pull up my favorite resource, Biddy Tarot, and just share what this spread could look like. Just quickly share the screen here, and let me just zoom in a little bit. So here it is, the 10 card spread. Again, we'll go through each of them individually as they are pulled, but pretty insightful and interesting spread. One that I actually haven't done, I want to say, in many years, so I kind of forget exactly how to do it, but again, because I love the purpose of this stream is really to kind of learn and also share resources and knowledge. So here we go. Let's learn together today. So I am just pulling out my deck really quick. Again, I primarily use the Rider-Waite tarot deck. It is the most common. I also find that, you know, obviously there's so many different tarot decks, but the ones that you get the most comfortable with, you can do better readings on. And it's not all about obviously the symbology and stuff like that. It's more and deeper than that. It's like interpreting the questions in the right way, and really understanding what the intention is and what the person you're doing the reading for, their intention as well. So, okay, I am. So, I'll just quickly go through these different cards. I've read this before. I won't do this word for word, but the first card is the present. So, just something that may be coming up in the present time. The second card is a challenge that is happening related to in the present moment. Card three is the past. So the past usually is around something that may feed into the current situation. And it could be inner, it could be external forces, whatever it is. It kind of shows some like reason why something may have happened. The future, it's more short term. It isn't like the future, but future cards typically, you know, obviously kind of show you where things may lead to or go. Cards 5 and 6 are very interesting. I love looking at this part. So card 5 is above, and you can really think about this as something that you're aspiring to do, or a goal, working towards something. Card 6 is below, and this is really the subconscious. So things that you might not be totally aware of that's going on in the current situation. Maybe, you know, you are feeling some type of way, angry, upset, but there's some like deeper message as to why. Maybe there's some past trauma or past experiences with similar or related things that could really indicate this. Oh, hi, Mordecai. Welcome. Very nice to have you here today. Card 7 is advice. So this would be really going around, offering some type of advice. How can you overcome this current situation? Card 8, again, it kind of goes into play with the previous card, but really just external influences. Are you surrounding yourself with certain energy to really affect this current outcome or what's going on currently? Card 9, hopes and fears. So this, I guess it really just depends what type of card comes up here. You can see it in either way, but I think the biggest thing in any reading, especially multiple card readings, is seeing everything overall together, as it stands, and not just reading each individual card as it is. So there is a lot of like, everything is intertwined to some level, and the best readings actually take into account everything else, not just that single card. And then lastly, the outcome. This is kind of like the future card, but kind of sees things more in a positive note. So like, how can things become resolved? So yes, those are the ways to, I guess, look into each of the cards for the Celtic spread. Cool. Okay, so I will begin the reading in just a moment. And feel free to ask any questions during the spread, during the reading. Really, I like to, again, use this time to share learnings if I have any. As I mentioned earlier, I wasn't sure if you were on, but I haven't done a Celtic spread since probably when I first started tarot many years ago, and I took a brief break. And this is me kind of taking the time to learn a bit and also share that along as well. I do typically, I read a lot into the symbology in the deck, but I think there's, so much more to readings as it serves. It's not just the symbology within a deck, it's actually like correlating all the different things, knowing the intention. And so, yes. Cool. Do you yourself do any tarot, or have you kind of dove into tarot just a little bit, or anything like, I guess, in the mystical realm? Awesome. Well, um, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I see, and everyone may have different opinions, but I do see tarot as more of a self reflection tool, rather than, oh, let's predict somebody's future. Because, between the different cards, there's a lot of the elements that's relatable to everyone. Obviously, the universe works in mysterious ways. So there are certain things that really come up that could mean a lot and make you be like, oh, why didn't I think about that? And it was like the perfect message at the perfect time. So, yeah, I truly use it as a self reflection tool. So it's really fun to use it for that specifically, because we're always unraveling our true selves and really learning about ourselves. So thank you so much for joining. Yeah, and if you're someone who already likes to do some type of self reflection, this is probably a really great way. Other than like the typical gratitude journaling or just general journaling, it kind of gives you more of a, let's just say, a framework to use, and move forward with, how you can reflect. So pretty cool. Okay, so I will start shuffling. And as something, for someone like you who may be interested in learning more about tarot and doing your own tarot, um, there around shuffling, there's no, I would say, right or wrong way to shuffle. Some people do say it should be this way, it should be that way, but I think honestly the thing is like what feels best for you. Some people spread their cards all over the floor or all over their altar or table and choose, but I have a very specific way I shuffle. It just is inherently like the way I've learned to shuffle and it feels good to me. So that's how I do it, but there really is no right or wrong way. So, however, so let's pull up this first card, and this will be around the present. What is going on in this present time? Also, another thing is if a card happens to jump or fall out of a pile, that is like another way that people typically choose cards. So if it does happen, that will be the card for the intention set. But if it doesn't, you can keep shuffling and select yourself. But again, it really depends. Some people just do it until something falls out. So there's no, again, right or wrong, just whatever feels good. So the present. Oh, this was not clean cut. So, whoops. I'm going to do that again. The present. Okay, so for this, I'm going to shuffle a little differently, not do it necessarily how the cards come out. Usually, if I'm doing a single card spread, I will combine all of these and choose the top one. For this, since there are 10 cards, I'm actually just going to choose as they go, from different piles. And from there, I will, give the reading for each card. So, um, let's see, card one. And I will kind of just go. I'm not going to pull them all out at once. I am. Um, Actually, I lied. I am going to pull them all out at once because I think it will. I mean, it might look a little crazy, but let's just play around here. Yeah, it's funny because I actually just read recently this is another way to do it, so I'm kind of just experimenting today for the multi card pull. Sometimes, typically, I don't pull it like this, but today just sounds like a interesting experiment to see if it feels good or not. So that's the first one. Let's see. You know what? I said I was going to pull everything out at once. I'm going to go back on what I said, and that's primarily because of space here. I and I think it's actually, I think it's good to see each card individually. I am sometimes indecisive, but really it's the amount of space that's in like this video right now. Um, I think it's also good, and you can do it either way because cool, you can see a bunch of cards, but at the end of the day, we will be reading the card individually and then talking about how they all may affect each other. And I think there's a reason why the spread is laid out the way it is. Like you start with the present, and then you go in, or the present, then you go into the challenge, and then the past and the future. So at the end of the day, it's like whatever works. And today, I think, just given the amount of space in this video, I'm just gonna do them single at a time. But you have caught me in my moment of being indecisive, so thank you. Okay, so the present. Okay, interesting. So present card. This is the Nine of Pentacles. The Nine of Pentacles reversed, actually. So, but let's read it. Upright. You can kind of think of. I mean, one Pentacles has to do with money, finances, foundations. Oh, hi Zara, nice for you to join. I know it's been a while. It's really nice to see you. I've kind of taken quite of a break, but catching me in a time that I'm doing the Celtic cross spread, and learning at the same time because it's been a while. But so nice to see you again. Really happy that you're able to join. So yeah, this card is the present card. It is the Nine of Pentacles. Pentacles, foundation, money. You can kind of think of it as the element of earth. And when you think of earth, you think of grounding and foundations. In this particular card, you see a person, perhaps a woman, with this long gown and flowers on the gown. Also, just, if you look at the scenery, it's very clear that the scenery is like full of life, of grapes. And she or they are also holding a bird in the left hand. So this person seems very established, seems very grounded, and very, let's just say, full of life and abundance. I believe this card either has to do with the sign of Virgo, or Taurus. You kind of think of those two signs as like those really grounded earth energy, and really just relax and admiring this, friend that they have next to them. Um, in a reversed, uh, I guess, pull, I'd say there is something potentially blocking this admiration or acknowledgement, of 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 life, and because I mean, in an upright position, it's like, oh, you're close to closing the loop. You're like nine. It's, each minor arcana is between one to starts from the ace, goes to the 10th, 10th is like closing a loop and haunting. I mean, is it the photo in the card? It's like the illustration. To me, I see it a little less haunting, but I think, everyone has their own perspective. Um, I think this person is very grounded and has a lot of abundance of life, but yeah, it could be the picture. I mean, the Rider Waite deck is like a very old deck, so there are some images that could be a little like, different than other oracle decks that you see that could feel like, oh, that's so pretty. It's just very simple, and some of the illustrations could be like um, a little weird, but yeah, I this is an interesting card. I would say in the present moment, for it, there's like some current block of being able to see this level of abundance, of seeing all the foundations and things I have. I would say yes, this is pretty on point. I think, I tend to really focus on what's next. How do I get here? But, not really taking a moment to truly see always the abundance in things that I have, like a solid job, a great relationship, great community of people. But, can sometimes really wallow in being, what's the next thing? I want to get here, but I'm not here, so it's kind of how I see that present card. I'm just going to take a sip of water. Okay, and so card 2 is, where is the challenge coming from? And I'm going to pull this. Wow, a lot of reverse cards. So the King of Wands, and it's interesting because reverse cards, you can see them as like internal blocks or something kind of limiting you from seeing something else or reaching what this card is probably doing. And this is interesting because wands, if you're familiar, again, all of the minor arcana, you can kind of relate them to each of the elements. So fire, when you think of fire signs, you think of energy, excitement, inspiration, creativity. It could even be around spirituality. And the king himself is very calm, poised. He probably, and usually king cards are, let's say they, are out of all the court cards. So you have the queen, the page, and the knight. And the king is like a ruler, right? He has everything. So if you think about a king as it relates to inspiration and energy and that fieriness, he has it all, but he's also very poised and knows how to use that power that he has. Also, I think in this one, I'm going to try to zoom into this like background. You can see, I believe that's a lion, a salamander. It's so interesting, like when you zoom into the cards, because there's a lot of symbology there. But yes, I believe, you think of a lion, you think of Leo. Leos are very out there. And they really know what they want. They're sassy and they don't really give a shit about what anyone else thinks. So I kind of see this as the King of Wands has all of these qualities. But in reverse, it's really, that I'm unable to actually see those qualities in myself. So yes, I have this spark of energy. Or maybe there's someone, also another way to read this, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily for my current reading, but in the court cards, you can also see each, like the king, the queen, the page, and the knight based on gender. So sometimes people say a king can be a man in your life, or a queen can be a female in your life. Oh, thank you so much. That's really that's really sweet. And so, when if you're doing a reading for someone, you'd be like, oh, is there someone, it's always interesting to be like, oh, is there someone, a male in your life that's like, hindering your inspiration or your fieriness? Are things kind of dull? Like, is there something weird going on with your relationship? Um, so it's very interesting because you can see it in that way, and when you're doing a reading, that is something that could be really helpful in navigating. But also sometimes it could just be back to you yourself. So again, I see the challenge also in see. So if we go back to what the present card was, um, unable to see, abundance and what I have at this very moment. Um, and the biggest challenge is probably that I'm also not able to see my own creativity or inspiration, and there's something maybe blocking that. Um, I can give a little tidbit actually on the challenge. This is something that's kind of interesting because I was just like, oh, it probably isn't a guy, but I was just talking on the phone with a friend and kind of revealing something in my personal relationship that maybe there is, something kind of blocking me to see the abundance. I won't share too much there, but it is an interesting way. Like, I can't feel the inspiration right now, so I'm not able to also see what I have at the moment. So, um, oh, thank you guys. This is really sweet. I'm glad I can be like really really helpful in this, especially as we're learning, together. Um, okay, so card number 3, the past. So what are the like different things and experiences that may have led up to this moment? Um, oh, this is fascinating. Okay, so the magician, what a lovely card. The magician is the first of the tarot deck. As you can see here, there's a lot in the magician card. He has an infinity sign above his head, which represents like infinite possibilities. Also, you can see that all the minor arcana um, symbols are here. You see the cup, you see the pentacle, the sword, and the wand. And that really represents that you or I have all the tools that I need to do whatever the hell I want and really push through for something that I really desire. All the tools exist here right in front of me, but um, and then also, he's holding a candlestick that shows like as above, so below. If you're familiar with that, saying, but it really points to the current material world, and also the underworld. But ultimately, the magician really shows that okay, you have all these tools that you you have all these tools at your disposal. They're on your tool belt. And I really like to use this as like, oh, there's infinite possibilities. So what's interesting about this is usually magician is like a super positive card, but as you can see, the past and the challenge are like, meh, not like super positive. Um, the way that I'm interpreting the past, even though the magician is like, yeah, you have so many opportunities here, the possibilities are infinite. But it could really mean that super overwhelmed with too many possibilities. Maybe I started to, which tends to happen, right? I mean, we have all these different choices and all these, oh, like for me, for instance, I have a million hobbies, or I used to at least. So I've been better at trying to like narrow them down, but it's possible that my mind is everywhere because I'm like, oh, I can do so much. I really enjoy tech. I really enjoy mystical, esoteric stuff. I really enjoy pole dancing, like all this others. I don't know, and art and crafts. And anyway, long story short, the past really is just like, okay, even though we have all these different, or I have all these different areas of like, oh, I love to do all these things, I'm getting really just kind of overwhelmed with like doing all of it. Even though it's exciting, it's like a trial and error kind of thing. Um, it's hindered me because it's brought me to a place where I'm just kind of scatterbrained, and I don't know what I have and how to appreciate it because I'm always, again, thinking about the next thing. Um, so that's how I'm reading the past card currently. And yeah, pole dancing. I know. It was something that I was like, maybe that's something I should live stream, but I'm too shy about that. And but it's a really awesome hobby. A lot of really cool like self expression and fitness, and so it touches a lot of different things for me. Um, but highly recommend if you're into that type of thing. um, okay, card 4 is the future. So what can actually happen in the next few weeks or few months? Oh, okay. The Page of Pentacles. All right, I'm gonna take one sip of water before I. Okay. It's interesting. You think about the future, and the Page is pretty much like, a parkour. That's wild. I don't know. I can't even say um parkour sounds hardcore is what I'd say, but very cool to watch, I'd say. I really love watching it, but I can't imagine ever doing parkour. So that's really dope. So for the future, the Page of Pentacles, this is really interesting because when you think of a page, it's like this person is actually looking into the future. It's someone who's first starting out on a project or an endeavor, but you can see this page is holding like one pentacle, very focused on this one thing. And then, if you kind of observe the background too, sometimes in certain backgrounds you'll see like some crazy weather, and like, you know, um, it says a lot about the card itself. This one's very calm. So there's really green grass. There's, I think that's a mountain behind. But ultimately, this page, someone who's just starting out, feeling a little inspiration, but just like, wow, okay, this is what I'm gonna focus on. So I do see that as the future being like simplify what I'm focusing on, and I'll be able to move past that like lack of inspiration or lack of focus, and that will be very helpful. So yeah, pages typically are, oh, I'm just starting out on this new project, and really excited, really ready to do the research, feeling inspired. This page is, again, focus on one thing. So something I definitely need to do. Okay, I'm gonna move these cards up a little bit so things can be in the screen, or somewhat in the screen. Okay, I don't think that did like an amazing job, but partially. Okay, so card 5 above. So this has to do with a goal. Um, let's see. Let's see. Ah, the King of Swords. Okay, cool. I love how we're getting a lot of king cards today. Again, the king is someone who, you know, has it all when it comes to that element. So swords are air, represent the air signs. And if you think of air, think of Aries, not Aries, I'm so sorry. Libra, Aquarius. They're very smart, intellectual. They have a lot of power. And you know, um, this king, even though he doesn't look like super happy, I think he's just very, let's just say he's confident, and just he has everything he needs in terms of intellectualism, he is someone you can come to and ask for help in certain instances. You can also see it in the background, like behind him, uh, butterflies. I see that as like a metamorphosis, so growth. And also if you look at the scenery, I mean, you see trees and clouds. It doesn't look super crazy either. It's very calm, unlike, let's just say, the other sword cards, which to me I think is kind of like the most, I don't say negative because there's not a such thing as a negative card technically, or a bad card, but there are a lot of challenges when reading any of the sword suits. But yeah, so this in terms of a goal is interesting, is maybe getting to a place of intellectualism and power and finding the grounding and growth, seeing growth. So that is something that's interesting to me because, you know, a lot of things, especially things that I do, I really do try to focus on like, am I learning? I need to grow, you know? And when I start to feel like I'm stuck in a certain area or something like that, it's really because I'm not learning. So I think I see this as really like my goal is to continually learn, become more intellectual, just like the king here. So, and then now we'll go into the below card, which is more of a card that reflects with subconscious things that maybe have underlying feelings about, certain trends that could be related to the situation, but I don't totally see yet. And oh, this is interesting. Okay. I just got the Queen of Swords, but reversed. And very similar, actually. Very, very similar to the King card. The Queen, is getting there in terms of intellectualism and power and, having her stance. This particular queen has her hand out, maybe gesturing something. And again, a queen could, you think of a queen versus a king. Queens or women typically are softer, they're more emotionally there, and have some more like motherly or maternal instinct. So I kind of see this as like maybe having more, let's just say, I mean, the queen has more like, because swords are like intellect, maybe there's more emotional intellect here versus just only being smart. Kind of have a little more duality when it comes to the queen. But in reversed is maybe I'm not able to totally tap into this. Maybe I'm really frustrated with my current emotions and where I am in terms of getting to that, you know um, just a level of intellect, which is pretty true because it's what I want, right? It's my goal, but at the moment I'm unable to achieve that. So I kind of see the Queen and King in this reading to be kind of similar, but obviously the reverse. It's like I want to, learn so much and continue to learn, but I am frustrated in the current situation as well. Maybe there are things that aren't serving me, like specific work or where I'm spending my time. Obviously, that says a lot because in these two cards that were reversed, it's like I can't see the abundance that I have. And I, maybe am losing a little inspiration, but I'm also all over the place. So, given that the magician is like, yeah, you have all the opportunities. So, yeah, they're almost like conflicting cards, but it kind of makes sense because I want all these things, but I am very frustrated, and also because of all these other things that are affecting that. All right. By the way, this is probably the longest reading I've done on here. Zara, you're probably more familiar since you've been here quite a bunch. It's kind of fun actually to kind of go through this. So thank you guys for sticking around. All right, card 7 is advice. So this advice card, where can I? All right, I'm gonna place this all the way down here. But this is interesting because so this is the 9 of Wands, and in this card you can see this person is pretty beat up. They have been going through a lot. Again, we saw in an earlier card the 9, and here comes the 9 again, but in a different suit. So the 9 is you're kind of close to this completion moment. You know, the 10 is, oh, you've completed it, you're done with this cycle. The 9 is like, okay, you're very close to there. In this one, you can see it's wands. So again, fire, inspiration, creativity. This person's really beat up. You can tell they're pretty tired, but they're like in it for the long haul. Again, very close to the end. So kind of, I think the advice here is just stick it out. It's like, we know you've been through a lot of shit. And as you know, life goes, there's always a lot of stuff that happens, but it's like your spirit is still there. So yeah, the spirit, your spirit is still there. And really just keep going. You're so close to completing the cycle, and there will be, you know, maybe something really rewarding that comes out of this once you get there. So that is card 7 for advice. All right, we're getting to the 8th card now. Wow. Okay, I'm just almost baffled about how many kings we've gotten. But king, and in different suits too. So King of Cups. Oh yeah, card 8 is external influences. Okay. So this could be like people or energy or events that kind of influence this. King of Cups. So Cups is related to water, the water signs. You think of water, you think of emotions, you think of relationship to self. So king again is like, okay, I have all of this really, you know, sorted out. I really know, you know, I'm very grounded in myself. I know who I want in my life, and you know, specifically to cups, I guess, who I want in my life, who I am, has a really good relationship to self. So in terms of external influences, I do see this as, you know, somebody coming into my life that could actually be like maybe a mentor or something like that. Let's just say someone who, or a really good friend that kind of helps me build that network that I need. And to me, this is interesting because I'll share a little tidbit for you. I work from home remotely, so which is has its pros and cons, right? But I'm so like in this tiny little hole, would you say, where I'm not. I mean, I can be very social when I go out, but I tend to like be stuck in my little hole. And something that I have been kind of manifesting is either a mentor or someone that I look up to that kind of really helps me navigate where I want to go. I've kind of lost a little bit of that in the last few years, not going to the office anymore and being home, even though I love my team and I love the people I work with. I'm like kind of missing this like small element of like, one, human interaction, and two, someone to like truly look up to. I think a lot of my mentors in the past have like moved on to like different careers and different things, and I feel you. I have too. But you know, it is really helpful to kind of see like, oh, you know, and it actually kind of reinforces, because I haven't thought about this in a while. Even though I said I've been manifesting, I have manifested having a mentor or something like that. But this kind of is really interesting because it's kind of reestablishing like how much that means to me, and hopefully, you know, I can definitely um, bring that back, and hopefully that, you know, that type of energy will come back into my life and help me feel more connected. um, so that was really cool. Yes, I know, Zara, I've been dying to go to your next, are you streaming again? um I haven't seen your VODs. I did check, but I haven't been able to join in real time yet. But I'm very excited to see how your live streaming has been going. Okay, I will note that, and maybe I can join for a little bit as like a bedtime thing. I'm an early sleeper. I'll admit that. Being on Eastern time, so um, okay, card nine. Oh, that's so cool. All right, I must join. I must. Um, okay, so hopes and or fears, card nine. So, my God. Okay, this is just so interesting. Pull this many cards because then you get like all these other things. Page of Wands. Okay. So again, a page is someone who's starting a new project, really interested in something. Wands are fire energy or inspiration. And you can see this person's really focused on the wand, and there's sprouting, you know, there's some leaves sprouting here. That can mean like, you know, ideation, a new idea coming to life, and this page is very focused. Again, every page is super focused on something new they're starting. But there is, you know, this is reversed. Again, this could mean, you know, I'm I'm unable, like my fear, let's, because we're going back to this card, what it means, like I have a fear of, you know, not getting somewhere or starting something that is super inspiring or creative. There is oh, what does reverse mean? So typically reverse can mean many different things. Actually, you know, what's interesting is some people don't even read reverse cards. And because ultimately, if you think about it, all cards will mean something just based on, will mean something based on what the card is, especially if it's kind of like a negative card. So if you see like the devil or the tower, it's like a double negative, right? So sometimes you don't typically always need to read the reverse, but reverse could mean like there's something, you know, inner to you, that it could mean self-reflection. It is more like an inward card, but it also could mean, it's not necessarily negative. It's just like, oh, you can also see it as like, I'm blocking myself from pursuing this thing, you know. um it's very vague, to be honest. So I think, you know, it always goes back to like coming back to the intention and coming back to the question, or um yeah, that really will is like the most helpful way to kind of reflect on, or use what a reverse card could mean. um it could also mean that, you know, something's holding you back, again, like a limiting self-belief. Could mean you're frustrated with something, like, but a lot of it does have to do with a self thing. Typically you might have an inner critic that's blocking you. So I kind of see it as as I guess in the most general way, like a block itself. Oop, there's like a little fly. So I think, you know, I see this, and this is interesting because I'm actually about to start a new project soon. Not soon. I'm trying to start a new project, so I do feel a lot of this page energy. And you know, I have felt like I'm like kind of inspired recently to move forward towards something, but maybe I'm just like a little scared of like where something's gonna go. Again, I think going back to all the other cards, like, oh, it's a new project again. I'm kind of scared of the failure of starting something new because I've had so many like unfinished projects and stuff that don't go anywhere. So I kind of see this as like, oh, how can I move past that? I mean, if you think about it, you are always, I mean, life is all like a learning lesson. So I think the biggest thing is like actually to continue trying and not giving a shit and just like going for it. And if failing happens, it's like, oh, that's actually awesome because you learned something from that failure. Um, but yeah, this new project is something I've been thinking about for a while. So many years ago, um, like over, let's just say over 10 years ago, I guess my age is maybe revealed. I used to have, I mean, I've always been someone who's really into fashion and stuff, and I've always wanted to do something in that world, but I hate the fashion industry, but I love design. I love how clothing can be an expression of somebody, or I just love things that show a bit of beauty. So I'm thinking about getting back into sewing. It's not a craft that I'm good at. Thank you. I actually cut this. This is like an old like sweatshirt that I cut recently. It was like an ex's sweatshirt. There's no better way to like cut up something from your ex than um, I mean, how do I say this? There's no other fun thing to do than cut up stuff from your ex, I guess. Um, oh, that's really cool. I'd love to know about your fashion game. Um, yeah, and so I want to get back into sewing. I feel like there's quite a few things, especially upcycling wise, that I've been very interested in. So, oh, spiritual act, yes. Oh, my cat's here. Hi, you want to say hi? Oh, he's a little sweet boy. He doesn't want to see the camera. He's mad. Okay. I'll put him away. Sorry, Kenzo. And so yeah, I am excited to try this again. But now I have like a very clear vision of what it is. And oh, project makeover. Okay, I will have to note that down. Sounds really interesting. If it has anything to do with like upcycling stuff, um, I I'm so for it. Or just like, I don't know. I'll go check it out. Seven cats. That's incredible. I want a second cat, but I don't know that my partner right now is interested. I would love to have another cat in the house. I mean, I also live in New York, so I don't think we could truly fit or have space for seven cats, but that sounds really awesome. All right, so we're getting to the last card now. This is outcome. So this is showing, where the situation be headed. It would be is heading, and how this can be resolved. Um, oh, wow. Okay. So back to the wands. This is the Six of Wands. This person, this is a really, I mean, let's say positive card. I would say this person is holding up, they're all holding up the wands. The wands are sprouting. There's also a wreath, and, wreaths typically represent victory. So I think this is saying that I should just go for it, and yeah, it looks like it's almost like a celebration of victory because everyone around is also holding up the wand, excited. It's like just went like these people just like kind of went to battle, and are now taking a moment to acknowledge um, the victory of something that just happened. So Yeah, this is really, I think, an indication that I should just move forward with this project, see where it goes, but really focus on the project. So if you go back to all the cards, it's like, okay, I was maybe pretty not focused. I was losing some inspiration at some moment or feeling like I can't stay creative. Probably because my mind is everywhere and I was trying too many things at once. But because um, if I can focus on one thing, I think I can definitely get there. Obviously, with the help of potentially a mentor, and just knowing that a part of this process is all about growing. So and learning, and it's okay to fail. So I think this has been a really insightful reading. The biggest things that I've really taken away from this is around just like focus. Yeah, I guess like maybe something I can do, just thinking out loud here, is start like planning. I've been really bad at planning, let's just say. Like I used to be a calendar like freak where I would note everything in my calendar like, okay, this hour I want to work on this, and I've kind of just like become a little lazy. So I think just having that focus, setting some time for this project could be really fun. But also just knowing when I do have the time to really focus. Um, as you guys know, like Halloween is coming up. I don't know if you guys are big Halloweeners, but I am. My birthday is around Halloween, so it's a big holiday for me. And, before I jump on this project, I really need to craft my costume. So, so that's so before that even happens, I'll have to put together my costume and, you know, um, yeah, again, it goes back to focusing on like one thing at a time. But um I am a Scorpio. You guessed that right. Yes. And interestingly enough, I have a Scorpio stellium, which means I have four placements in Scorpio and all in the 12th house. So, yes, a very deep spiritual connection for sure. Um, it's yeah, and it's been really interesting learning more and more about, because the things that, isn't it interesting going through life and realizing, oh, there's this thing that I always gravitate towards. And yeah, it's the spirituality piece is really a deep connection. Oh, so with houses, so each sign, if you look at your, oh, I wish I had my chart available. Maybe I'll share really quick, since you guys have been really great. Um, yeah, yeah. You can easily YouTube it, but typically, your each sign falls into a particular house, and your house will determine like a focus for that sign or where that planet falls into. And you can kind of see the houses as like the first house, for example, is also related to a sign. So the first house is like Aries. And when you think of Aries, you think of the beginning of the whole, of all the houses, and the beginning of the whole chart. And Aries are like I am. So there's a lot of in starting and um I don't know if I can truly explain it correctly, but you can kind of associate them also with the sign. Um, and oh, okay. Um, yeah, there's so much to it. I'm only like a like I am a novice in um tarot. I'm like a way novice in astrology. I know at a high level. But if you were to, you can definitely find a lot of information on it. I highly recommend. I mean, also another thing too is um, there are different, I think, ways, let's just say, types of astrology. So, Western astrology has like whole sign house, which is what I typically follow. So, if you're interested in that, I think it's the most straightforward. It's also the most ancient when it comes to Western. I really like Chani Nicholas. She does a really good job in explaining and breaking all of this down. But I did learn recently, I had a Vedic astrology reading, which is crazy because it's, if I think of whole sign astrology, I'm like, oh, that's the most ancient, when in actuality Vedic astrology is like the most ancient. So it it's kind of like where it all started, I believe. So it's, and I learned that in Vedic astrology my signs are a little bit different. So, oh, okay. Tribal astrology is something I'm not so familiar with, but it's actually my first time hearing about that. So I'll definitely have to look into that for sure. Very cool. Thank you both for joining today. Usually this is like kind of my typical time, like 3 to 4 Eastern time. But I've been like kind of all over the place recently. That's why I haven't been streaming as much. I have a lot of like family things going on, but yeah, just it's the regular ebbs and flows of life. Yeah, thank you so much for joining. I will be back on next week, and yes, I really hope to catch your stream, Zara. But if you can get a VOD so I can at least see your stream if I miss it. There's a way, by the way, on Twitch, if you go to settings, there's a way to like enable VODs so that every stream you have will be saved onto your profile. At least they do it for like 30 days or something. So you can kind of, and people can like peep your channel without having to follow at first. But oh right, you do mobile. Okay, that's cool. All good. I totally understand. Maybe I would think they have it for mobile, but I don't know. Either way, thank you so much. I really want to see your stream because that sounds awesome. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I will chat with you